Everybody. So thanks all of the alums for hanging out with us and joining today. We are going to go around the room and have everyone essentially introduce themselves. And we will start based off the schedule, and we'll start with Emily. So Emily, if you just want to introduce yourself, where you served, that, we'll go ahead.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everybody. My name's Emily Reichard. I was in Americorps in 2014 to 2015, which probably sounds like a long time ago. It doesn't feel like a long time ago. I was a Americorps member at Community Television of Knoxville. I think you guys have just brought that site back recently, but it was gone for a while. So I did my year of service there, and then I remained there as a full-time employee, and I now, years later, work at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville in the alumni office. I'm in this role for about a week and a half, and then I transitioned to a new job at the McClung Museum on campus.
Thank you, Emily. Adam, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hey, I'm Adam Caraco. I served at Keep Knoxville Beautiful in 2008, 2009, which probably also seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't. Since then, I have supervised Americorps with Knox Recycling Coalition that no longer exists, with the conservation crew, and with CAC Urban Agriculture, better known as Beardsley Farm. I've roommated with Americorps. I've sat in the Americorps office and talked with Jason a lot and shared an office with him, and have had many Americorps experiences since then. And if you guys have questions later on, feel free to ask.
Thanks, Adam. So next we'll have Jenna Bailey.
Yeah, I'm actually one of the Americorps Adam supervised. Fun fact. I served in 2016, 2017 at Beardsley Community Farm. After that, I joined the Peace Corps for 2.5 years and was in the South Pacific. Got back to Knoxville, and then for the past 2 years, I've been working at youth villages in the social work field in foster care. So that's what I do now.
Thanks, Jenna. If Phoebe, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hi guys, so I'm Phoebe. I served actually a kind of an awkward term from January to December in 2018 with Parks and Recreation as a Greenways Ranger. And then after a series of other things, I'm at a geotechnical engineering firm. I work in consulting, so kind of do a lot of outside cool stuff, and that's me.
Thanks everybody for the intros. So we essentially held this Ask an Alum panel for members to get an opportunity to ask the most pressing questions that they have to our alum experts. So with that, I'll open up the floor for everybody to ask those pressing questions. I can go ahead and start us off. This is for anyone. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing while you were serving your term, what would it be?
The reoccurring conversation I have with Americorps people that I didn't realize while I was in Americorps, first of all, everybody that's serving right now, thank you for serving. It's a really cool thing to do. But the impact that happens isn't just your year of service, it's like what it lines you up for afterwards. So sometimes your site might get you down and there'll be slow times and hard times, but almost everybody I know that's done Americorps has good lives afterwards where they're doing productive things. So like just to kind of power through, and that the bad times can help bounce you into positions that are more meaningful. So like, I wish that somebody told me that there was life after Americorps where I would continue being able to serve in an Americorps type function, but like after doing it for a long time, that you get like respected enough in the community that they start handing you bigger and bigger roles just by like doing a good job. And that was like hard to know while I first did my year.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I would give for someone who's still in Americorps is to be open to new experiences and to take the time to think about how those impact you and what you enjoy and what you don't. I came to Americorps because I had a lot of interests, and I felt like the farm working at Beardsley was kind of an intersection of my interests. I mean, I was interested in social work, I was interested in environmentalism, I was interested in food security. So I had a really hard time kind of figuring out like what to do. And I think trying to figure out what parts of your job you like, what you don't like, what you wish you could spend more time doing, what you wish you spent less time doing. I think taking that time to reflect and have that self-awareness of what you enjoy doing and what you feel good at is really an important gift that you can have during your Americorps year that's going to help you figure out what your next move is going to be, and that it'll make that next move feel really right to you.
I'll kind of build on what, oh, sorry, you can go ahead. You got it?
You go.
I was just going to build on what Jenna said. And, I kind of figured out that learning what you don't like is often just as important, if not more important, than learning what you do like, because you kind of have to narrow that down. Like, I don't really know what I like still. I know things I don't like. But to add to that, I also wish that I could have told myself to really do my best to really ingrain myself into the community of Americorps. Because now, years later, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, I still feel like I'm such a part of the Americorps community, and like it created a community for me. So, I definitely felt involved in it then, but I guess to appreciate that, not take it for granted.
Yeah, that's perfect, because I will build on that. I think one of the best things about Americorps, at least for me, was the network that it provided me. It gives you a really unique opportunity to be surrounded by people with similar interests, but also motivated community changers. I've not found that since I've left Americorps, but because I was in Americorps when I was there, I was able to set myself up in Knoxville with that kind of surrounding network. And I utilize that network all the time. I have contacted people from my Americorps job to help me get many more jobs since then. I would highly suggest that people just like take advantage of that. And not only is it great for your career, but it's great for your like mental health, and it provides you with fantastic friends. And I'm thankful for Americorps. It totally changed my life.
Thanks, everybody. We have another question in the chat from Lane. He asked, how did your transition go from Americorps to life after? Or rather, how did you sell yourself to future positions? I think you could answer both of those differently depending on interpretation. So I'll let you all.
I think I have kind of unique perspective here because after AmeriCorps, I went straight to Peace Corps. Lots of people choose to kind of do that pipeline from AmeriCorps to Peace Corps. In my Peace Corps group of 32, 6 had served in AmeriCorps before coming. So that's a pretty common pipeline. It's people who have that passion for service. It makes sense, right? Domestic service and then international service. So as far as selling myself to the Peace Corps, I felt pretty competitive there. My program was a youth and development program, and at the farm we worked with all ages to educate about food security and gardening and things like that. So I felt pretty well set up for that. That was not the case when I got home. I was pretty stressed when I got home. I worked at a primary school in Fiji. I did some community development, but shoot, work moved slow there, which I loved, by the way. But I got back and I was like, what are my skills? I haven't like typed on a computer in 2 years. So when I got back, I really relied on the other experiences I had at the farm. At Beardsley, because it's a small team, I got to be a part of fundraising efforts, event planning. I was the volunteer coordinator technically. So I really had to look at the roles and the different hats I got to wear because it was a small organization, and play on those specific skills and get really, really specific about what those were. Because as much personal development as I had in the Peace Corps, I had way more professional development in my year in Americorps. And that was really important for me.
My transition from community television to a full-time employee at community television, but also to my next job, which was United Way, really was a key part of that was my time in Americorps. At my position at community television, I didn't have a ton to do all the time, but what I did do was teach myself how to do motion graphics in the downtime. Just because it was a resource at community television, it was something I was interested in doing. And then because I used my downtime to teach myself that skill, it got me my next job. So I think even if you don't have something to do when you're at Americorps, if it's a slow day or it's just like not the day for your big event or volunteer opportunity that you're working on, use that time to find a skill or to connect with somebody that can teach you a skill. That has absolutely led my way from job to job to job.
Yeah, I'd say my story is very similar. I worked with Keep Knoxville Beautiful, and after that, it feels a little silly, but it's like, I don't really know what keeping Knoxville beautiful means. So I started working at a greenhouse because I figure if I wanted to keep Knoxville beautiful, I should sell roses. And then a position to open up with Knox Recycling Coalition. And it's like, I didn't even really fill out a resume or anything. I just went and knocked on the door and they're like, hey, we remember you from recycling events with Keep Knoxville Beautiful. And it just kind of was like one thing piggybacked off the next until I ended up with Beardsley Farm. And it was like really super easy because like the Americorps world in Knoxville is relatively small and it's easy to become a name in that world. And like I can speak on it personally for the Knoxville area, but somehow it works on a larger area because I've had friends in Americorps for 13 years now, 14 years, however, whatever year it is. And it's like people leave Knoxville and it's like, oh man, it sounds like it's going to be hard for them, but they leave Knoxville and then go work on a farm in New York or Massachusetts, or they go work for a farmer's market somewhere. That seems like it's just like this larger Amera network that I don't know how it works outside of Knoxville, but it does, because I see people every year that transition to somewhere else in the country doing something that's very similar to the Americorps world in Knoxville.
I sort of have a similar situation to Jenna. After Americorps, I didn't go straight into the workforce. I actually spent about 4 months on the Appalachian Trail. Obviously, I didn't have to sell myself to the Appalachian Trail, fortunately. But afterwards, actually getting a job was challenging. And I actually kind of have Americorps indirectly to owe to my next position because I met the vice president of the company I work for at the Tennessee Recycling conference or the TRC, which I got to go to when I was in Americorps, and then met people and networked and it got to go again. So, you know, it kind of all came together, and the skills that I gained in Americorps, specifically doing outdoor work, it's kind of what led to me being hired to do outdoor work for the company I work for now.
We have another question from Madeline. Do y'all see yourselves transitioning to something else in your future, or are you settled and satisfied in your careers?
Actually, I've got a good answer to that one. I am in the potential market for moving around. I was telling Jason this about 5 minutes ago. When I ended up in geotechnical engineering or geotechnical science, I didn't even know the field really existed. It was it's a fantastic place to be, but I'm not so much in the environmental world that I expected to be in. So eventually, I can see myself transitioning to something a little more environmental, but definitely related to the Americorps work that I did.
I think I will always be looking for new opportunities. I feel like I'm a constant kid and like a constant wanderer. So no, I don't think I'll ever be totally settled or satisfied in my career. I think I'll bounce around a whole bunch. But even though I've been out of Americorps for what, like seven years, is that right? I still talk about it in all my interviews, and I'm like, this is why I'm here. Like, this is a great opportunity that I had, and it seems to fit into every interview I've ever had. So I'm sure I will bounce around much more in my life.
Yeah, I feel similar. I also don't feel super settled in a career. I do feel some capitalistic pressure to be at a position for a certain amount of time, to have a good looking resume, to make money. Obviously, those things are all things that I think about, that I feel the pressure for. And those were things I was thinking about during my Americorps year too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say that those things are not tempting to me. To get a job that I don't feel passionately about or I don't believe in, just to make 80K a year sounds super nice, y'all. But the truth is, it's not what I want. And I have decided, and I think I decided a long time ago, that I want to do work that I believe in. And my Americorps year, when I look at my personal environmentalism, it's really based in a value of people and community. And of course, that leads to a value of the planet and of science and things like that, but it really starts with the community. And so I think that's why I moved into social work, and it's why I hope to be headed towards maybe a future position as social worker in a medical setting. Now that's pretty different than environmentalism, a medical social worker and someone who farmed for a year. But I still really see the same values in all the positions that I've held. And so as long as I've got the same values, I think it makes sense that the job might change, because our world is changing and the needs of our community change. So I don't feel settled. I am satisfied. Your other question is satisfied. I am satisfied. I'm in a good company. I've got a great team that I feel really strongly about. I'm supposed to be promoted in a month, which feels cool and exciting. So I'm satisfied, but hopefully not settled.
I'm settled and satisfied, but who knows how I feel in a year and a half, 2 years, or 5 years, but I'm not actively thinking about switching anything. Beardsley Farm's pretty fun and cool, and happy to be there.
I have one more question for y'all. What was the most memorable experience you had as a member during your term? Like, if you could nutshell it.
I think my most memorable experience was another, one of those community outreach positions that is just, you get that so in Americorps, you don't really get it anywhere else, I feel like. I was able to work with a city Parks and Rec program called Kids Can Bike. So we took kids from city after school programs or summer programs at the city recreation centers. And these are typically inner city kids that, don't get a lot of outdoor experiences. And we had a set of like 30 kids bikes, and we take them on the Greenway, and it'd be like a 6-week program. So once a week we'd go out and bike a few miles, and, they've got some outdoor experiences, and outdoor leadership is like, I feel like it's my calling. So that was very satisfying, very exciting, and something that I feel like I did that was meaningful in these kids' lives.
I think 2 moments stand out for me. I was so excited to be at Beardsley. I really wanted to do something that I believed in. I think the work at Beardsley is so pure. I never have to second guess if what we're doing is right. It just is. And I love that at Beardsley. So when I first got there, I'd been there like a month, and I have two. I'm going to say 2. The first one, I had been there a month, and we got this huge trailer full of manure. It's just like a huge trailer full of poop. And we had to like jump up on the trailer and like get it all off the trailer, and it started pouring down rain. The manure was so hot, it was steaming. And I just remember being so happy, y'all. I was like, this is exactly what I signed up for. Let's go. I loved it. I loved every second of it. And the second moment that stands out at Beardsley is Snow Day. This is a plug for you all to get your tickets if you haven't already. Snow Day is such a fun event for Beardsley. It happens in the winter. It's going to be February 5th this year. It's outside at Central Filling Station, so don't worry about that. There's going to be soup and bands. And I just remember the Snow Day my year was at Bardley's, and there were bands there, and it was like everyone in Knoxville came out everybody who was good and who loved the farm. All of our interns were there. A ton of my Americorps buddies were there. Like staff, all the people that we worked with and partnered with throughout the year were there. And it just felt like a birthday party, like where everybody there is there for you, but like for Beardsley. And it was a dream and I loved it. And it was a really beautiful moment. And I like maybe cried in the bathroom, it's fine. So that was a good moment during my year and I loved it.
Mine's similar to Jenna, where we had a giant truck of manure delivered to CTV. No, that would never happen. Mine are mainly relationships that I built in my Americorps year. They're still some of the strongest that I have, and so I'm most thankful for the opportunities I got to have, just like work alongside really great people. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would say. Oh, and we got to do a Google Trek program where we got to, back in the day when there was like a giant camera for Google, we were able to put that giant camera for Google on our backs and trek all the greenways in Knoxville. And so that if you were to go down and you wanted to see First Creek Greenway, you go on Google and map out what that trail actually looked like for you. So that was a pretty cool project that we got to be a part of.
So I feel like I'm going to give a bad answer that Jason's not going to like. And I didn't really like Keep Knoxville Beautiful. But when I did Americorps, there was a lot of being able to go to different sites and help. And I helped at a lot of different sites. I went to Beardsley Farm and helped put plastic on the greenhouse, and that was great fun. I helped a lot at recycling events. There used to be a team called Earth Flag that did composting at elementary schools, and they would have walk around and grab the compost, and then you'd show the kids how much the waste you could divert, and doing like waste audits that were not Keep Knoxville Beautiful specific, but they were Americorps. So it was fun to go network with other Americorps. And then so like hanging out with Americorps people during work and after work and becoming good friends with a lot of people in Americorps was the highlight of my year. Nothing specific at Keep Knoxville Beautiful though.
That's all right, Adam.
You know that about me.
We have a question from Amethyst. Do you think that the low, I'm assuming living stipend from Americorps impacted your benchmark for what you earn doing work that has similar values, especially that transition from Americorps to a different job? Does that make sense, y'all? Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I think my situation is unique because I went from working at my site as an Americorps to a full-time staff member, and my job did not change at all when I made that transition. So I do think it probably impacted me in that I thought, going from the stipend, which at the time was $11,000, to a full-time salary, I think I probably could have negotiated a little bit higher, but because I was so excited to have that jump, I didn't even think about what my options were there. Going back, I might now as a professional person who's been in this field for a while, I probably would have countered or asked for something a little bit more substantial. But since then, I've seen significant raises in my life and don't feel that I have been held back in any way by Americorps.
I feel the same way, actually, Emily. My first job, I was on the Appalachian Trail after I left AmeriCorps, so I was like really, really poor. And the first that's job that I got at Geoservices, I jumped right on it, and I'm the same way. It was a great salary. It wasn't awesome. I've got significant raises since, but looking back, I should have countered and been like, no, I want a little more than that. But yeah, I don't think that it has impacted my ability to, have a successful income now. But I think that happens with anybody. I don't know if that's just AmeriCorps. I think anybody in their first, grown up job is going to be like money and just go for it, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I did. I felt the same way when I got out of AmeriCorps. I was like, oh my God, a job.
Yeah, I think everyone learns lessons the hard way, that's for sure. I unfortunately don't think you'll ever stop learning certain lessons the hard way. I think that as far as salary, I always look at what others in that position make. It can be uncomfortable, and Sometimes I feel shy about asking about salary when I'm applying for a job if it's not listed. I do think that the systems in place to apply for jobs and to get jobs are not set up for us, the people seeking jobs. And so I think that it's important to discuss, and I think that you have to have a certain amount of financial freedom to maintain your mental and physical health. I really believe that. I think that's a luxury, and I think it comes with having an income. So I don't know that it should, but I think it does, unfortunately. So I think that's important to prioritize, and you know your worth, and you know your experience, you know your talents and your experiences. So as far as tangible though, I say go online and look at what other people in that field make, and what other people with that, you know, however many years of experience you have make, and go into your interviews with that information. Don't wait. Don't wait for them to tell you. You tell them pretty early on is my advice.
Yeah, I think generally the first job people get out of college or when they're young is going to be not all that different from Americorps. It seems like a lot of people go into like working at a restaurant. So like at least Americorps will help you with assigning values that you will want for your job. But like when it comes to the salary, it seems like a lot of people that don't know what they want to be when they grow up end up being servers or cooks or, you know, any other kind of transitional job. So like if you're doing Americorps, at least you're like networking, figuring out who you want to be around, what kind of person you want to be, and that will help lead to a job with values. But yeah, does the transition from Americorps to different jobs and the getting money, like that's just something for all people as they're growing older to learn. And Lord knows it's hard to learn.
I also just want to say one more thing, because this happened to a friend of mine. If someone asks what you made at your last job, don't tell them. If they don't know, don't tell them you made $12,000 a year. Also research what somebody in that actual position would have made, and tell them that. Don't be like, oh, I made $12,000. No way, because they're gonna think you double that is, you know, a huge gift or something. So that's another little thing to think about.
Also, to Jenna's point, they should not be basing the salary they pay you on your Americorps living stipend. It is not a salary, it's a stipend, so they need to pay you what the market value is. And in a market like this one, probably above it. So market also depends if there is an abundance of applicants to positions, and so like, you know, go back a year and a half, you know, I'd see 150 applicants for a single position. Right now, people are hiring recruiters left and right to find competitive applicants. So in this type of market, you would absolutely want to negotiate. And I see you requesting some training on that, and we will talk in the office to see how we can kind of build around that resource to optimize the opportunities that may present themselves in this unique year for y'all.
Well said, everyone. Thank y'all so much for hanging out and sharing your experiences and perspective about your time with Americorps and after. I know I certainly felt like that gave me some much needed relief to know that, you know, we're not alone in this struggle. And so with that, y'all are more than welcome to hang on here for the next 30 minutes. But we are going to go ahead and go back into the main group for our final presentation. So thank y'all again and have a great day.